Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Okay. Let me get a little bit of wake up juice and then we'll get started. I'll give everybody a minute or so to join in here if they want. Okay. Might hear some random barks here and there because he wants to come up on my lap. Don't ya? Yeah. All right. What a day today. All right, well, I'm going to get started. Episode 26 of the We Just Like Games podcast. Normally with us is Ray, but he's traveling for work still, so it's just little old me. But too much has gone on recently, and the funny thing is, what I do now is I kind of build the agenda for Ray and I as the weeks go, because we don't go every week like I did with PS Nation. And I was looking back on it, and it's like almost all Xbox news, which is hilarious because we really need to talk about Xbox today. So we'll be talking about some news from today from Microsoft. Also, Steam possibly coming to Xbox. Phil Spencer hinting at an Xbox handheld. Whoopee. Under Defeat, which was a game on the Dreamcast, a really fun game actually, is coming to the Switch, Xbox, and PS5. Some Switch 2 news, and then I'll talk about a couple things. One game being Turbo Golf Racing, and the SteelSeries Arctis Nova Pro wireless headphones, which I just posted a review on YouTube the other day for those. And then what I've been playing, and we'll get out of here. I'm sure it's going to be pretty quick because it's just a little old me and such. So I need a better camera. I just noticed that. So I decided to stream this today. I don't know why. I just need the attention, I guess. So as I said, Ray is traveling from work once again, and he's made a couple of posts today, and we talked a little bit today, but I kind of emailed him a little earlier, and I said, we haven't done a show in a while, and we have a lot to talk about, so I'm going to go today. So anyway, first up, the news came out today that Microsoft, the biggest publisher in the world, is closing some of the offshoots of Bethesda Game Studios, namely Arcane in Austin, who, they're responsible for Redfall, among other games, and it's not great, but I don't really blame Arcane on that. I blame Microsoft's terrible producers. I said it. Also, the Hi-Fi Rush developer, among other games, Tango Gameworks, which Hi-Fi Rush has got to be the best game that Microsoft Game Studios has put out in the last at least 6 months, if not longer, and they're going to close the studio. Makes total sense. Alpha Dog, which I forget what they've made, and also Roundhouse Games, which again I forget what they've made, but they have done something. This is ridiculous. And we've all said it. Every podcaster out there in the world has said this. Probably even some like flat out Xbox fanboys in the past. This isn't any surprise when it actually happens. Microsoft has a history of buying up really good developers at times and then closing them. Fuck it. Let's close them. Let's close them up. Sure. I'm more upset about this news than I should be because, I mean, yeah, I have an Xbox Series X. I have a One X sitting here. I'm still not a big Xbox fan. I never really have been. I'm really tired of the lies. And I'm really tired of everyone jumping on the Xbox bandwagon all the time simply because their backward compatibility is pretty good. It is. It's good. But to keep pulling out of that cookie jar of old games that are proven, if not semi-proven, and not doing anything new is it's going to shut you down. It really is. That's such an ass-backward strategy. I just don't understand it. And I've said it all along, to rely solely on backward compatibility and not really give us anything of substance that's new is, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot how many times before people stop dealing with your bullshit. Personally, I'm pretty much done with Xbox. I'm not going to renew my Game Pass, which is up in about a month or so. I will not renew it. I'm not going to give them any more money. You know, I might use the Series X occasionally. Actually, Turtle Beach is sending me a new pair of headphones for the Xbox to test out. I'll play to test those. But I'm very done with the Xbox. I've had it. I liken them today as if they're the boyfriend/girlfriend that's always drinking PBR and hits you, but then promises you, "No, baby, I'll be fine. I'll be better. I'll buy you a studio." That literally is Xbox. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. Bullshit. This can't keep being the story about Xbox. Not anymore. I love the Series X hardware. I've said since day one, it's really good hardware. I don't think it's as good as the PS5 in a couple of really like key scenarios. I don't think the SSD is nearly as fast as the PS5s, and I think in times that show. I mean, my gosh, the new Forza, the load times on that are still. I mean, we're spoiled by SSDs now. And the load times on the new Forza, quite frankly, are pretty slow overall. But I'm willing. I was very willing to let that go because it's still like that new Forza. I know it has a bad rap by a lot of people, but I like it. I don't love it, but I like it. I think it's one of the better playing Forzas in the series, and I think it's one of the better looking Forzas in the series. It's not perfect by any means, but like the brakes don't fade immediately like they have in the past, and I think it's good. I think the HDR, not the lighting, but the HDR color at times is kind of messed up, and when it rains, it's too blinding. It's too obstructed, and it's almost like they don't realize that people are still playing a game. You know, it's cool that you want to try to be a simulator, but you still need to understand that it has to have some kind of playability. And I don't think that's ever gotten through to anyone. But I don't see any reason to play anything else on Xbox right now. Again, when I have to test those new headphones for review. And it was funny because they gave me the choice 3 weeks ago or so. Like, do you want some PlayStation 5 headphones or do you want Xbox? And I said, well, I've been reviewing a lot of PlayStation 5 headphones. Let's go Xbox. And frankly, I kind of want a different set of headphones for the Xbox. But I've decreed it today and everything, but I've been thinking about this for the last couple of weeks, actually, because I knew that my Game Pass subscription was going up for renewal soon. And I kind of decided, I'd say a good month ago, that I don't think that I'm going to renew it. At this point, the only reason I use Game Pass is to check out games that are on both platforms, or maybe they're Xbox exclusive because it's going to be shit probably. But basically, because we don't get everything for PlayStation 5 anymore like we did PS4, I would use the Game Pass version to at least get an idea of the game and talk about it, And I mean, especially with this new generation, they play pretty similarly on both platforms, with a couple of exceptions here and there. Like, I really think it's funny that Hi-Fi Rush has worse shadow and noticeably worse shadows on Xbox than they do on PS5, and that Sea of Thieves runs faster on PS5 than it does on Series X. I wish I liked Sea of Thieves more because I was very hyped for that game before it came out. When they first showed it off, I was hyped. And now that I've played it a few times, I'm very meh about it. I'm not enjoying myself with it. And I've tried. I streamed it last time. But I'm just very underwhelmed by the actual experience of playing Sea of Thieves. I think it looks beautiful. I think it sounds great, everything. But I'm just very underwhelmed by the gameplay. Which doesn't totally surprise me because I've kind of always been very indifferent with Rare games. Going way back to the Nintendo days. I've never been a big Rare super fan like a lot of people. Like in the N64 days, my God, Rare could do no wrong. I don't like Banjo-Kazooie. I don't like Banjo-Tooie. I just don't like a lot of their stuff. I loved Killer Instinct when it came on the SNES. But like the N64 Killer Instinct, you can't control that damn game. It's terrible for control. I was actually just recently trying it on the Mr. FPGA, and I went, oh yeah, that's right. This game sucks. It just controls like ass. It really does. So anyway, I don't know. I'm more bothered by this than I should be, but I'm not bothered specifically about which studios are closing. I'm bothered by the fact that all you see for the last, let's say, 6 months is Microsoft touting how big of a publisher they are and how great things are going to be and blah, blah, blah. And they do this. It's idiotic. They closed the studio that was making the Halo games, and now they closed the studio that made Hi-Fi Rush, which it literally is probably the best game that Microsoft Game Studios has put out in the last at least 6 months. Please, somebody, tell me another game that Microsoft Game Studios has put out on this generation of consoles that is anywhere as good as Hi-Fi Rush. I will say I like Forza. That's not an issue, but I don't know. It bothers me. It really bothers me because I'm sick of being lied to. And quite frankly, that's all it feels like right now. It's all about our platform. Our hardware is going to be amazing. Our new console that's coming out is, what do they say? Like leaps ahead of the generation. I don't remember what they said, but they're touting their hardware again. What about the software to run on that hardware? Anyone? Are we just going to let it sit on the shelf and look pretty? Even though the Series X, honestly, I'm not saying the PS5 is beautiful either, because quite frankly, I think that thing's ridiculous. But the Series X just looks like an obelisk from 2001: A Space Odyssey. Really, it does. I'm really hot and bothered by it, and I'm really upset that people still let them seem to pass. Like they always give them a pass. Always give them a pass. They need to step up and actually give us something. If we're going to spend $500 on a Series X, if we're going to spend, $50 on Game Pass or however much it is, if we're going to spend money on like $70 on a game for the new console, you got to do something, Microsoft, because quite frankly, right now you're skating. You're skating on something. I don't even know what. How do they have any type of good... there's so much more I want to say, and I don't want to, because all it's going to be is, the PlayStation fanboy is out there bitching about the Microsoft. It's not it. This is ridiculous. Thank God that I didn't pay for the Series X. Seriously. If I had bought a Series X on my own with my own money, I would be incensed right now. And I'm pretty upset right now, but I would be incensed if that was my money. What? Now you're going to close the one studio that was making good games for you? And then you're going to break apart Bethesda, probably one of your biggest acquisitions, even though I really don't personally care, but I'm not discounting what they do. And the funny thing is, now they announced that, was it Fallout 4? Or no, God damn it. The new space game, whatever it's called, has a new patch that allows for 60 frames per second on it. Starfield. It now has a 60 frames per second patch, so you can play that game on Series X. I think it's both X and S at 60, which everybody wanted, before the game came out and all that, and made a big kerfuffle about it. I'm not going to re-download that game and play it. There's no way. I was bored stiff in that game. So let's pour one out for Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dog, Roundhouse, and Arcane Austin. Arcane Austin has done some good stuff in the past. I played that that one that had the whales and everything, the whale oil. That was pretty good. It wasn't my cup of tea, but it was pretty good. It looked gorgeous. But this is just stupid. Are they playing some kind of meta game where they just want to see how much Microsoft money they can spend before they all get fired? Seriously. And that Matt Booty guy, I think he's the first to go, honestly. But whatever. I'm done with it. I'm done with Xbox. I'm not saying I'm getting rid of my consoles. I'll keep them. But like I said, I've got to test those headphones when they show up, I think, in a couple days. But I'm kind of done, because what I've done lately with the Series X is, if I'm not checking out a new game, which they just added, Jedi Survivor? EA's thing that's on Game Pass, they just added that game. So I downloaded it, but I haven't played it yet. That kind of stuff, I'll boot the Series X up and try them. But there's nothing where I'm like, God, I just got to play it on Series X today. It's more, and I know this sounds ridiculous, but this is true. Every now and then, I'll look over and see the controller sitting in the charger, and I'm like, man, I haven't played the Series X for a while. I really got to try it out. Or I got to get on and play something. I got to find something to play. I got to find something that I am compelled to play. And then I get on there and I go through my stuff, and then I go through Game Pass and look at the stuff that was just newly added. I might find something to try, but there is literally nothing where I'm like, God, I really got to play X today. I really got to play Halo. Well, we know that ain't true, but I mean, now if I want to play Hi-Fi Rush, I do it on the PS5. And I've already said I prefer it on PS5 because I prefer that controller. And I know that sounds trivial, but for someone that only one hand really works, like this I can't really control. I don't know what else there is on Series X to play that makes it worth having. Like right now I'm letting it sit on standby mode and eating my electricity. How stupid am I? Anyway, all right. So next up, so the big rumor right now is that Xbox is going to be adding Steam to Xbox Live, or whatever they're calling it, Game Pass Live. Yay? I mean, I know it sounds cool to people because, oh, that's more games. Sure. I've got a lot of games on Steam that I've never played because I don't play on my PC, really. I think there's too much complexity there that is going to really hurt things. Because not every game is going to work unless they're amazing engineers. Because Microsoft does have good engineers. They just don't have really good producers, I think. If they can find a way to map the keyboard mouse controls from PC games so that they just work on the Xbox Series controller, cool. That's one hurdle to get over. But there's a lot of other stuff. I mean, I know the hardware is very similar to what is on PCs nowadays. I get it. And the OS, that old OS that's on the series, has some kind of part of the kernel of Windows, I think 11, in the OS. Okay, cool. The hooks are there. But I think there's just a lot more things that need to be addressed before you can say, well, we're just going to put Steam on there. But again, this is Xbox's management grasping at straws. Like, we can't put out any content that's compelling for the series, so let's find something else. Let's add more useless games. We'll have this big list of titles, even though they're not playable or they're not worth playing. Really? Like, how about you make a game that people give a shit about? That's what I would like to see. From all these studios that you've purchased over the last year, or however many. I'm so screwed up with time. So Steam, cool. I mean, I've got a pretty big Steam library already. I'll be honest, if I can play Half-Life 2 on the Xbox Series, I'll play it. If it doesn't take, like, hooking a mouse and keyboard up, I'll play it. I loved Half-Life 2. It was for years when I would put any type of new hardware in my PC, back when I was gaming on PC specifically, to test out that piece of hardware, I would put in Half-Life 2 and I would go through the entire game. That was just my thing. And I'll play it again. I haven't played it in years. So I'll play it. But I still think that this is another instance of Xbox trying to confuse everybody and to pull your attention away from what the real problem is. That Microsoft game studios for Xbox can't put out a good game. They cannot produce a good, compelling game. And instead of doing that, instead of figuring that out, now they're going to add Steam. What? Anyway. So, they're sponsoring us again, which I don't know why, but they sent me an email, and I could probably use this right now. So, Magic Mind, right there. Can't really see it too well. Magic Mind is sponsoring this podcast episode once again because they're so nice. And they say, we've designed the world's first productivity drink, a science-backed blend of matcha, nootropics, all these scientific words, and adaptogens work together to get you faster into flow state No anxiety, no jitters, just focus and productivity. And I'm going to suck one down here. There we go. My voice cracked because it was still in my throat. Sorry. So there you go. Try that out at magicmind.com and such and junk. But it's good stuff. It actually does. I think it works. I usually try to slam one down like an hour before we record, but I thought since I was streaming it today, I thought it'd be interesting to drink one down while I was on here, since I have the camera on. So, anyway. All right, next up, more of this. So Phil Spencer has now been hinting at the fact that they're going to do an Xbox handheld, basically kind of like a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally, but it's going to be Xbox specific type handheld. Yay. So now you're going to have an Xbox handheld to play nothing on. Name me one game for the Xbox Series that you want to play on the go. Anyone? Anyone? Does anybody want to play anything that they have out right now that you want to play on a portable? Well, I say portable, but that thing's going to be huge. I don't. Maybe Forza? Maybe? But it won't be a lot. I would probably do one race and get tired of it. Playing that on a you know, I mean, think of the size of the Steam Deck's screen. Do I want to sit and play on that all? I'm 51 years old. I'm wearing glasses now. I don't play on the Vita that much. I don't play on the PSP that much. I certainly don't want to play a large game that I would relate with a series type game, a series platform game. It's absurd. But that's Microsoft's solution now. Just keep churning out hardware. That's the way to go. We'll just do more hardware. Don't worry about games to play on it. We've got MLB The Show now. We've got Cuphead. Woo. Cuphead looks fine on the Switch OLED. Actually, it looks fine on the regular Switch. Do I need to play that on a series? No. No, I don't. It's stupid. Anyway. All right, enough Microsoft news. This next one is pretty cool. Under Defeat, which is a pretty good shmup type game, but it's a little different. So you play in this, it's like a helicopter shooter, but the helicopter, you can actually, instead of just going straight right, left, up, down, you can also turn the helicopter a little bit right and left to take shots at things and kind of dodge their bullets at the same time. So Under Defeat is now coming. I forgot to write down what publisher, but it's now going to be released for the Switch, the Xbox, and the PS5. I'm excited for this because Under Defeat's actually a pretty legit game, and is something I will stream from the Dreamcast pretty soon, actually, because I have it. But I'm excited to see if it gets any type of upgrade, which I would assume it will, because it looked beautiful on the Dreamcast already, and to see it on the newer platforms especially, that's pretty special. It's a fun game. It's a beautiful game. It sounds really good. So I'm excited for that. I'm very excited for it. All right. Last news item. It's just been revealed, I think it was yesterday, that the Switch 2 announcement will be coming from Nintendo this fiscal year sometime. So Nintendo has revealed that we will know about the Switch 2, or whatever it's going to be called. The Switch's predecessor is going to be revealed this fiscal year. Yay. I'm still very indifferent with the Switch. I mean, I play it every now and then now for review purposes. that kind of thing. I don't like playing it as a portable. I don't even take it with me as a portable. When I take it with me, which isn't very often, usually take it when I go see my ma. And even though I have a PS4 there, I don't like sitting in that bedroom. The Switch, because I have a really nice little carrying case, and I have a bracket for it, and it snaps onto the Pro controller, and then the Switch slides into these mounting brackets on there, and you use it like a little handheld, like the cell phone contraptions you see nowadays, where you snap the phone in, and like Turtle Beach sent me one, and I've got another one from somebody, I don't remember who, but that's really all I do with the Switch ever. I've been playing. I don't want to get the name wrong. Lunar Lander from Atari, and I've been playing that on the Switch. So I've had it with me when I went to see my ma to review it, and I mean, I'll play it on that little screen. To me, that's a little screen. It's a nice screen for a handheld, but it's still a little screen. When I go visit my mother, a lot of times I take that little monitor that looks like a briefcase they're called Games, Gaems. I'll take that with me, and I have a little portable Nintendo Switch dock that I use downstairs on my TV that I'll unhook because it's only a little box. And I'll take that with me and hook up the Switch to that monitor because I'm already going to have that stuff with me anyway. So I just, do that. Yeah, I mean, it works great. And I have a pair of Rockhat earbuds that I keep at my ma's. And I have that hooked up to the Switch. So I put the earbuds in and I can play it, without bothering her. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But Switch 2, okay, I've already kind of said that I'm not really interested in buying another Switch. I don't use the original Switch nearly enough to make that worth buying for a new Switch. I mean, literally, it's a Mario Kart machine for me, and that's probably 95% of what I play on that thing is Mario Kart. I play the stuff that they send me for review here and there. I've got Kudzu, and I've got the farming simulator for kids that I'll be talking about. I've got the Lunar Lander. I've got, what else am I playing on there lately? But I play those smaller games now, but it is what it is. I would just rather, I've been playing the GameCube the last couple days. That's what I want from Nintendo. I love the GameCube. And the games that Nintendo actually made for the GameCube, even the ones that make for the Switch, their artists are just genius. Like, the stuff they make looks so good, and it transcends the hardware that it's on. So, I don't know. I say that about the Switch 2, and then they'll announce a new Mario Kart for it, and it'll be another rehash of a bunch of old tracks like in Mario Kart 8, and I'll still get it because I'm a sucker. But it is what it is. I don't know. But it's cool to see that they're finally going to be announcing this new console so we can stop, guessing what it's going to be and blah, blah, blah. I really wish it was a regular console again, but it won't be. It'll be the same type of form factor. It will be. Because I don't know. Well, I mean, the Wii was different. The Wii U was a big failure. The Switch, they went a pretty different direction with it, but it blew up. It's huge. I can't deny how popular the Switch is, but I just don't want underpowered hardware again that is just shovelware at the end of the day. The library is like the Wii. It's just a lot of shovelware. I don't know. And I love Nintendo, and I've been a big fan of theirs for years. It's just I don't know if I like the strategy the last few years. I mean, I had a Wii like everyone else. Did I have a lot of games for it? No. I have a Wii U because I got it really, really cheap, brand new at a Kmart that was closing. Mark and I bought one the same day. I can't even imagine any other time in my history that I got a Nintendo product for as big of a discount as I got this Wii U for. And that's the honest truth. I don't know. You know, I paid full price for the Switch, like everyone else. All right. Two things. First up, they sent me the PC code for this, but I ended up playing it more on Xbox Series X because it didn't really run that great on my PC. It ran, but it was kind of juddery every now and then and whatnot. It's a game called, I've got to get this right, Turbo Golf Racing. When you look at the pictures, you think, boy, that looks a lot like Rocket League. And then you play it. Kind of a lot like Rocket League. So it's interesting. You're in a car or some kind of Jeep-ish type scenario, and you've got kind of a golf course arena, and you try to knock the ball into the goal like in Rocket League. But the biggest difference, I thought, was the fact that you're not doing a lot of acrobatics with the car. You're not jumping and flipping and all that stuff. You can flip a little bit, but it's not as... That's not really the focus of like the controls and everything else. I found myself really bored playing it. I don't know why. I wanted to give it a chance because I'm a big fan of Rocket League and of supersonic acrobatic rocket power battle cars, as people knew. But I thought it looked great. I think it's built in Unreal, I believe. And they're using a lot of libraries that come with it. But nothing really stood out for me. You're just, instead of going to the goal, you're going to a big golf ball hole, basically. Because the ball is about the same size as what it is in Rocket League. So if you think of that. So you're hitting it into the hole to make a goal. Okay. I don't know. It wasn't unique enough to me to really make me care. It had a lot going for it. It was a very good-looking game. It sounded great, but it just wasn't unique enough in terms of gameplay that really stood out for me. And I guess that's really the best I can tell you. So, quick review. If I've got to give it a number, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. I would probably give it like a 6.5 out of 10. It's pretty average in terms of just overall gameplay, etc. I don't know. I just wasn't that taken aback by it. All right. Well, this will be quick then. I got to get this name right too because there's a lot of stuff. The SteelSeries Arctis Nova Pro wireless headphones for the PlayStation and PC and Switch. The only thing that they don't work with is Xbox, and I did try. I actually have the box up here. So there you go. They're really nice. They're really nice. From someone that's really been focused on Turtle Beach for the last probably 3-4 years, I've got a pair of Turtle Beach right now that I really, really like, but the microphone stopped working. It just stopped working. And so at the time that these showed up, I was actually using those headphones, which work really, really well with the PS5's 3D audio, and I was using the microphone on the controller. So we used to do a lot of work with SteelSeries in the past as PlayStation Nation, and they had some very innovative products, and they were always sounded really good, and the microphones usually worked really well, and they were always really nice. But we kind of fell out of communication with a lot of the people that were there that I don't believe any of them are there anymore, But the cool thing is I've been talking to somebody that I've known for, a long time now. He used to work at PlayStation. When we first started communicating with PlayStation, he's one of the first people that I ever started talking to. And I, just kind of made a mention one day on Facebook, of all places, and I'm like, you got to send us a pair of those headphones. And he messaged me, and he says, well, just send me an email. I'm like, well, all right. And it happened. He made it happen. And, man, they're fantastic. They're a little expensive, but I found them. I should have wrote the price down, but I think I found them for a pretty decent discount on Amazon recently. But they're still a little bit pricey, just like the Turtle Beach. I think they're the same price as the Turtle Beach that I like. But, man, they're really good. Number one, the 3D audio sounds fantastic in them. They've got noise cancellation, which actually work pretty well. The battery life is fantastic in them. The other cool thing about the battery is when you buy a pair of headphones from them, they come with the second battery, and they come with the receiver that you're plugging into the console or your PC or your Switch, and it has a little receiver in it, a little slot that you can put the second battery in, so you've always got a battery that's charged all the time. They're really easy to swap out. The app works really well. It's one notch below Turtle Beach's app, I think, though. In terms of usability and everything, I think it's maybe one notch lower in terms of how good it is. These are very light. They fit really well. They do not have the classic Turtle Beach notch in the back of the ear cups for your glasses. But I've never had a problem with them in terms of them feeling uncomfortable with my glasses or whatever else, which, I have a pair of rock hats that I was using for a while. It's a company that's owned by Turtle Beach now. Those headphones hurt like hell when you have glasses on. But these SteelSeries feel great, and I've worn them for hours on end, playing Call of Duty or whatever else. They have a separate power switch for just the Bluetooth functionality and for the headphones themselves. So if you want to use them just as Bluetooth with your phone or your Switch, you can do so by just turning on the right cup. There's a little power switch on the back of each of them. You turn on the Bluetooth and boom. And the Bluetooth functionality is fantastic. Very easy to pair with the Switch. I have them paired with my tablet, with my phone. I'm trying to think if I have anything else going with that. Nah, probably not. But I really, really like them. And I forget what numbered score I put on them on the video review. So go check that out. It's over on YouTube on our channel, the We Just Like Games channel. And pretty easy to find. But they're really good. They're really, really good. And now they just announced a pair that are colored white, which that would be kind of cool with the PlayStation side. Like I said, I did try them with the Xbox. They do not work with the Xbox. The little receiver actually has 2 USB-C connections on it. So I got really crazy one day, and I said, well, I'll plug one into the Xbox and the other into the PS5. And then you go into the menu, there's a little dial on the headphones, and you can go into the menu, and looking at the little OLED screen, I think it's OLED, on the receiver, you can see if you have it on input 1 or input 2. And I said, well, I'll just leave it plugged in like this, and then if I want to switch over to the Xbox, I'll just go in there and switch over to input 2, and it does not work. They don't work with the Xbox at all. So, oh well. Would have been nice, but once again, console makers decide that they're going to have all these things only work with their console. Ugh. Anyway, but I highly recommend them, honestly. They're really, really good. And I mean, they're a best of IGN, so obviously they're good. All right. What I played, and then we can get the heck out of here. first up, as everybody else, I played the demo for Stellar Blade, which I really liked. I really enjoyed that demo. I've heard some people complaining about whatever in the game here and there in the full game. I don't know. I haven't played the full game yet. I think it looks fantastic. It's an older Unreal Engine game, so it's not 5, but man, the game is stunning. I thought it played really well. I saw somebody kind of comparing it to like a Souls type game, which I don't agree with that because I wouldn't like it. But the demo is really good, and it's still out there if you're interested in that game at all. Next up on the Series X, Diablo 4. They put it up on Game Pass. I streamed it. I actually legitimately had a good time with that game, which is funny because I've never really been that big of a fan of the series. But I played it single player on the the campaign or whatever, and I had a really good time with it. I thought it controlled really well, and it looks really good, and it sounds really good. But if I get interested enough to play it more, I mean, I'm gonna let that Game Pass expire when it does. I'll just get it on PS5. That's all I'll do. All right, next up. I responded to the PR email for this game, and I said, could you send me a code? Because I'm really interested in this. Because I wanted to see what it was all about. So they announced Farming Simulator for kids on the Switch. And I just wanted to see if, like, you're driving around on a track, like a little kiddie tractor or something. I didn't read the whole thing, and I just put in my head the preconceived notions that it was going to be something like that. What this actually is it's made for, it's almost like made like a storybook sort of. So it's got all this touchscreen stuff on the Switch, and they kind of walk you through a little bit of a story type situation, and then you can play it. So you have to like buy seeds at the farm store, and they have to take that over to your farm. It's very simplified. You don't actually drive the tractor like you do in the regular big boy farming simulator. It's made simpler for kids. It's pretty neat, actually. I think if I had a kid, I could see my kid playing it, like maybe 7 years old, 8 years old, something like that. It's actually not bad. I'm not going to play it again, but it's neat. Especially since it seems like, or at least it feels like, it's really built to be played on the Switch with the touchscreen and everything else, so not with the Pro Controller or whatnot. It's really focused on the touchscreen functionality, so, which is fine. Next up, this is a game that was announced and actually released in cartridge form for the Game Boy, called Kudzu, or Kudzu, Kudzu. They also brought the game out for the Switch. So I've got it on the Switch, and it's pretty neat. I streamed it not too long ago. Even on the Switch, it's not in like Game Boy Color mode or anything, so you're on a green screen. It's a fun little RPG. It's pretty well built, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was neat. But it's, I mean, I know Brambler would be rolling his eyes at it, like, oh, it's retro. It's a game made like a NES game. And I get that. But it's neat for the Switch, especially. It's it fits the form factor, and it works really well on the big screen. Sounds pretty good. It looks really good in that, in the green screen and whatnot. But it's a neat little game. Next up from Atari, Lunar Lander. So I remember the original on the 2600. I don't remember a lot about it because I'm old. But I remember the game, and they sent me a code for it, and right away I kind of got a little scared because they also remade another game from those old days called Gravatar. And I do not like the Gravatar remake. I have had nothing but problems just trying to land that damn thing. The softest landing in the world, and I was still crashing. But luckily, Lunar Lander is more like Gravity Crash when you think about it, which is funny because Gravity Crash was based partly on the gameplay from the Lunar Lander originally. So it brought some of that back to my mind. It's not the same type of game. You're not shooting a bunch of stuff, whatnot, but it's kind of cool. They added like a story element to the game now. So I mean, obviously, when you're playing on the 2600 back in the 80s, there were no stories. It was just play the game. It's probably made for the arcade, But this is pretty cool. They put these fully animated story cells, like that they peppered into the game itself, and it's pretty neat. It's well made and it's well done. It plays really well, and I like it. I think it's pretty fun, and I'll play it more. Actually, I need to get back to it. I haven't played it for a few days, but it's fun. Anyway, next up, and this is also for the Switch, but I believe it's out for all three of the main consoles nowadays. And I got a lot of grief for playing this. It's called Little Kitty Big City. So when I saw the PR for this, I kind of thought of... there's that other cat game that came out a couple of years ago for the PS5 and for the Xbox. Stray. And that's really all I thought about. This is a little bit different. And it's kind of not really an open world, but a big map, but not an open world. It's very confined in terms of you got to stay within the confines of the map. But you're a cat, so you can jump up on things and climb little pieces here and there. I was weirdly compelled by this game. I mean, I thought in my head, I'm like, I'll play for half an hour and I'll stop, and that'll probably tell me everything that's going on. I played it for a couple of hours, no problem, in one sitting, and like just sitting there playing. I'm like, why am I still playing this? And I was enjoying it, but I had never intended to play it that much. But it does some interesting stuff, like you can't walk on water, so they block off parts of the map with water, obviously, because you're a cat and you hate water. You can interact with people that are walking around on the map, and you can you can kind of, what do you call it? Not scare them, but catch them by surprise. And you can go into this little store at one point, and there's this other cat that you talk to, and it tells you, like, I don't remember the reason, but it tells you, like, go in the store and knock off these jars of jam that are up on the shelves because I don't like the look of them or something. So you have to go in, and you have to climb up on the on the shelving, and you have to find the little jar of jam, and you have to knock it off of the shelf with your little paws, and you have to find anything shiny, and that's actually what the currency in the game is for what you're trying to do. And it all starts out originally that you're a house cat, or you're like an apartment cat, and somehow, some way, I don't remember how this happens, but you either get pushed or you get frightened out of the 2 or 3 story window, and you land on the ground, and you have to try to get back up in the apartment. That's the whole part of the adventure, is you have to try to do that. And along the way, you're dealing with, figure this puzzle out, find all these little shiny things, and use that for currency. And you want to try to get enough currency to buy like a map or something from somebody. But it's pretty neat, and it looks good. It's not like, it's not super realistic looking or anything. It's got that cartoony look, but it's got a cartoony look. But it's neat. So if you're looking for something a little more like kind of laid back and restful, it's not bad. It's a fun game. I don't know. I liked it. So yeah, that game is called, once again, Little Kitty Big City, and I played on the Switch, and it's good. All right, next up. I forgot about this game completely, but I got in a mode where I was going through my library, and then I got to a game that I couldn't remember anything about. And I knew about it. I remembered the game, but I didn't remember that I had it. Danger Zone 2. So this is from the developers that previously were at Criterion, and they did all the Burnout games. And when they broke off, they brought out their own games. Now, I remember that the first Danger Zone I didn't like very much. I don't remember what it was, but there was something about it I didn't like. Danger Zone 2, though, it's crash mode. I mean, it's crash mode from Burnout, whatever. And it's really fun, and it's really good, and it's really fun. But I played the PS4 version on PS5. It's a really good game. Next up, I've gone back to playing Pinball FX3. And the reason I've gone back to it is that they're releasing new tables. The problem is, I only see that those tables seem to be available for the PC version and the mobile version, like for mobile phones, etc. I don't see those available on the consoles. But I still wanted to get back in and play some of those tables. You know, because it's an awesome game. It's still great. I still love it. And I'd probably be playing it today if I wasn't recording this. But Microsoft just got my... I forget what the words are. Like, got my blood boiling enough that I thought that I should record something today. So, and then Season 3 of Modern Warfare 3, still playing that. They just released this conversion kit for these marksman rifles called the Jack Warden conversion. These guns are ridiculous. Marksman rifles are one shot at a time. So what this Jack Warden conversion does, it makes it so that automatically these two marksman rifles are in your hands akimbo. They still have really good range, actually just as good as if you're aiming down the sights, but they're almost always a one-shot kill. I mean, they're absurd right now, and they're going to get nerfed. I guarantee they'll get nerfed. And I checked this morning, and it felt a little bit like they were nerfed a little bit, but not totally yet. I got a couple more hit markers than before, but yeah, they're going to get nerfed big time. They're way, way, way too powerful, and I was pissing off a lot of people today. So, still having a lot of fun with Modern Warfare 3, and I've got to play it every day. Having a little bit less fun lately because they have decided to make the game worse. They've added new variations of existing maps. So they have like the quarry map, which I don't like already. But now they made it kind of, I don't know what is going on, but even in PR terms, I've been getting a lot of emails of like horror games. It's freaking May, and we're getting all these horror and scary games. And now they're doing this with Modern Warfare 3, where they're kind of making variations of maps that are already there, but they're making them spooky and scary or whatever. Why? Why are you just reskinning maps that you already... Bring out better maps. Because the last editions, there's really only a couple that are good in the pack. There's one called like 6 Star, which is like a spa. I don't like it. I don't know what it is, but I don't like it. Stuff like that. Like, they're making the game worse. You know, now you have these covert sneakers so that nobody can hear you at all, like you're in ninja mode or whatever. They've ruined the game. Because part of the fun about being able to hear footsteps is that you can hear somebody sneaking up behind you. You can turn around and take them out. Obviously, there's the dead silence perk. Or not the perk, whatever it's called. The thing you can activate and you get dead silence. I get that. And actually, if you have like a pair of Astros that you've got cranked all the way up, you can hear a little sound. Even if somebody's in dead silence, they can still hear you. And there's people out there that are way into like really expensive headphones and whatnot. But I just, now I hear those sounds and I don't even pay attention to them. honestly, they're ruining the game. Modern Warfare 3 came out pretty hot, and it was pretty good and had some really good gameplay in it, but they've completely ruined the game with the covert sneakers. And, you've got streamers out there like Marksman, who all the time, all that guy does is talk about, I can hear that guy over there. I can hear this guy over here. I'm so awesome. I can hear this guy. I can hear that guy. But then in the same breath, all of a sudden he starts talking about, I love that there's covert sneakers now. Ha, ha, ha. People can't sound whore all the time, even though I've just been sound whoring the last hour on the stream. Dude, you can't have it both ways. Either you're sound whoring or you're not. And with me, I'm not even sound whoring. I'm just trying to keep it in the game. Like if somebody's sneaking up behind me to try to assassinate me or whatever else, I'd like to at least have some kind of indication so I can turn on and take them out. It's not sound whoring. Anyway, I don't know. Whatever. All right. And then stuff I watched. So it's been a while. So my mother and I have started watching that Ben Franklin mini series on HBO or on Max. It's pretty good, but like the second episode, I actually got kind of bored with it. But we're going to try to power through it when I go visit here for Mother's Day this weekend. But we're working on it. And then Aquaman 2, I really loved it. I thought it was great. I don't know why people are complaining about it. Is it because what's her name is in it? Whatever, she's really good. But I like Jason Momoa a lot, and this movie was really good. I enjoyed it. So all you haters can suck it. And then Mom and I watched on Apple Plus, we watched Napoleon with Joaquin Phoenix. It was good. The battle scenes were really good, but I don't know why it took me out of it so much, but nobody speaks French. It's in France, but nobody speaks French. So it took me out of the movie completely. I know that Ridley Scott directed and wrote it, and I know he was kind of pissing and moaning about some of the haters out there. I'm not pissing and moaning about the normal stuff like, is this actor, what did he do any Broadway or anything like that? It was just weird to me. I'm not a Napoleon file at all. I don't really know very much about Napoleon to begin with. And I was kind of hoping for a little bit more of a biographical story that followed what's real. But it took, I think, a little bit too much liberty with a lot of things. That's how I felt. It was worth watching once, but it's not something that I'm going to go back and watch again and again like Blade Runner or Gladiator or, whatever. It was good. It just wasn't great. So, I don't know. But other than that, I think that's it. I don't have Ray here. Nothing going on with like Ray and I. We're not fighting or anything. Any of that crap. It's just that he's traveling for work a lot. He's really busy, and we haven't recorded in a couple weeks. And I thought something needed to come out, so there it is. So I don't know. Anyway, quite frankly, I'm really upset at Microsoft for what they did. And I think this is only the beginning. I think that they're going to start making a lot of cuts, even more than what we saw today. I think that they're going to start divesting a lot of stuff. And instead of selling them off or whatever, they're just going to close them. And I think that's a mistake. I know that you don't want to have any kind of a we can't sell them to anybody else. That'd be competition. Guess what, Microsoft? They're not competition because you have nothing to compete with anybody else with. You have nothing. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe we should just start PlayStation Nation out again. We'll start a Patreon and we'll start PlayStation Nation and go back. How about that? Yeah, that's right. I think we have an email. Let me look. Bandai. Jeez. Oh, yeah, here we go. This is from Hector Martinez, and he says, "Hey guys, really enjoying listening to the podcast and hearing all about what you're playing and watching. Thanks for continuing this labor of love. I'm one of those guys that's still holding out on getting a PS5 because I don't see justification for it yet. What other type of game or new IP are you anticipating that would do the trick? What kind of technical advancements would help make the case besides faster load times and frame rate? For me, it's these vast open world experiences with incredible attention to detail, varied gameplay, and photorealism. I know PS5 sales have been incredible regardless. I find it hard to believe it's been over 3. I know that's been 3 years already. It doesn't feel like that. But I just haven't seen anything truly next gen, and there's a vast backlog to still enjoy on PS4. Thanks again, Glenn. I hope you land a new job soon. I'm not looking. And Ray, please be careful with that Vision Pro. Yeah, no shit. And that's from Purist. Yeah, I'm not looking for a job anymore. Can't. I can't work anymore. My brain is just fried. I've had it tested numerous times at like neurologists and everything else, and nothing I can do. I have made the statement publicly that I think the PS5 originally should have been called the PS4 Platinum. There are examples of why I'm wrong in that respect. The problem is, not really a problem, but the justification of the fact that the PS5 is worth it, at least somewhat, is all because of Insomniac. It really is. The new Ratchet & Clank for the PS5, even though it was a launch title, it's amazing. It's truly amazing. If you want to talk about next-gen features and photorealism and everything else, that game does it alone. Not only is it lightning fast, but it's gorgeous. All at 60 frames. It's beautiful. I recently got I got Spider-Man 2. It's amazing too. And they actually use all the features of the hardware. The fast loading, the ray tracing, and they use the ray tracing. Like, it's just phenomenal. On top of that, Spider-Man Remastered and Miles Morales on PS5, they're astounding. I played through Spider-Man again on PS5. Miles Morales was a blast, and for people to say, oh, it's just an add-on that they release as a full game is bullshit. It's really, really good, and it's varied enough from Spider-Man that it's a legit game on its own. Where I tend to disagree with that a little bit is something like Gran Turismo, because I have Gran Turismo and you get the PS4 and the PS5 version with the purchase. And it's really good on PS4. The stuff that's on PS5, I mean, it does ray tracing, it does everything. It has really nice global illumination. It uses a lot of the features, but those features are harder to discern on PS5 than a lot of other things, unless you slow it way down and you watch it frame by frame, because the game is so fast. Like, that was one of my complaints about, like, Forza Horizon that came out for Xbox One and Xbox Series at the same time. Oh, look at this really detailed brickwork beside the road. Yeah, I'm driving through that at 150 miles an hour. How am I going to see that? You got to be smart about it. There are games for PS5 today that don't really seem to utilize any of the new features. A lot of them do, but it's a lot more like kind of hidden and veiled than something like a Ratchet and Clank that is just outwardly amazing. I mean, even I know a lot of people don't like Call of Duty, but even like Modern Warfare 2 and 3, there are points in those games where you see ray tracing being used. You see your reflection in glass. Just not all the glass. That's the problem. But like on there's a raceway, Crown Raceway. You go into this one side door, and all of a sudden you see all the reflections off the glass on this doorway. So it's just not as evident in that game as it is everywhere else. The other thing is things like global illumination, which are amazing on any game. It's really hard to kind of point that out in real time because the lighting in a lot of games is already so good. And unless you work for Digital Foundry, you're not going to realize, like, oh, shit, this is ray trace global illumination. I get it, and I'm one of those people. But down the road, even though we're 3 years in, like you said, down the road, this kind of thing is going to be a lot more evident as we go, as we gradually move along. I'm very interested to see what the PS5 Pro is going to be. I think that we're really going to see a lot of the good stuff from Sony directly, and you're going to see one or two third-party games that use Unreal Engine 5 that look amazing, but other than that, it's going to be very par for the course in a lot of games that come out. Thank goodness that Sony has Insomniac, because my God, the stuff they make is just outstanding. I really want a new Resistance or something, or like a remake of Resistance or something. But that'd be so cool. I would like to find a good first-person shooter that's not COD, especially because they're owned by Microsoft. So who knows what Activision's going to be in another year. But I don't know. It is what it is. I've grown a lot more accustomed to PS5 and how nice it is. I don't know. And also, I love the PS5 because the PS4 stuff runs so well on it. Like, when I played Battlefield 4 the other day, and then I forgot that it had been patched for the PS4 Pro, and it gets even more refined on PS5. It's really good. So, I don't know. I like the PS5, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Ray, I miss you. Wish you were here. Hopefully you're here next time. And stuff. And maybe we'll announce that we're going back to PS Nation. I'll start that Patreon next week. Because I really don't even want to cover Xbox anymore. I'm that upset about them closing those studios today. I'm that upset that I just don't want to cover them anymore. I'm fine covering Nintendo. And we can do that on PS Nation. We did in the past. But I just really don't want to even cover Xbox anymore. Because all it's going to be is me bitching all the time, and people are going to get sick of that. Which they probably are already. But I'm trying to give it a fair shake. They're just not changing my mind about anything. It's just, they keep fucking up. They keep shooting themselves in the foot, and pretty soon they're not going to have any feet left. They're just going to have two stumps. Anyway. All right, well, thanks for not showing up. I think I had one viewer for a little while. So thanks for not showing up. I know this was kind of last minute. I didn't have it planned. So, I don't know. I got bored today. Anyway, thanks very much. We'll talk to you soon. Take it easy.